Hello and welcome back to the Crafty Cupboard. My name's Leanne and I thank you for joining me today finishing stitching this gorgeous Mr. Fairywren. The Superb Fairywren is well named because he is indeed superb. So thank you so much to everyone who liked and commented on part 1 of the video and let me know that you would like to see me finish stitching the birdie. I want to give a shout out and a thank you to Martha, and Eva and Leanne, who I met at Corinne's workshop, Denny, Dawn, Christy, Teresa, new subscriber, Kaylee, Kathy, Vanessa, Kim. Thank you so much for taking the time to leave me a little comment and it's just lovely to hear from you. So let's keep stitching, shall we? This is going to be another long one. Christy actually asked me how long did the bird take, and I never actually time projects. I like to lose time as I'm stitching, but I think my best guess would be in excess of 8 hours or so, because of like this video today, there was 2 hours of footage alone to sort of edit together to show you the end of the bird. And when I've edited, I've tried as much as possible to not leave anything out. Unfortunately, that first video, I did lose the video of his head being stitched. I got that dreaded iPhone storage full message and did not realise, and so just kept stitching away completely alone by myself. And I'm disappointed because the head's the part, I think that's the key to getting something right, and I would have liked to look back on my process again just so I could learn again what I did in what order. I was paying very close attention to sort of trying to get the shading right and using darker threads towards the back of his head and that sort of, lighter threads at the part at the front, imagining the light source hitting him on the front of his face there. So it is what it is. The footage is gone. That's okay. We can stitch another bird, can't we? I really am sort of mindful of thinking about growth as a creative person. It's so important to embrace every part and every stage. I saw a post recently from someone on Instagram that was, saying I'm not as good as others, and that's always going to be the case. We never are. There always will be someone better than us, someone with more innate talent, someone who has worked at it longer, someone who comes from a background of art and so has all that wealth of knowledge. The point is never about comparing ourselves to others, but comparing ourselves to ourselves and enjoying our journey that we're on and bearing witness to the learning in progress and celebrating what we've created. Celebrate what's here with you today. Enjoy it. as we settle in to stitch this little bird, I thought it might be a good time for me to think about managing overwhelm and the fear of starting a project, because there's so many times that I've wanted to create and I'm just stuck in a rut that I can't begin because of fear or overwhelm. And I think it's part of human nature to do that, to worry. So one of the first things that it's really helped me, and I think Jenny Clouston just really reinforced this for me and brought the idea home, is to set up that regular time. And so for me, it always has been early morning stitching. I'm an early riser in a house full of late sleepers, and I've always been the personality type in the morning that I like to be just left to a gentle start on my own with minimal noise around. And my family have always joked that I was not a morning person. That's not true. I'm very much a morning person. It's just the type of mornings that they were often trying to present me with that didn't work. So I love getting up and seeing the sunrise and hear the birds gently chirping to start the day. And I love picking up stitching. It gets me out of bed in the morning too. I like leaving my projects set up the night before on my work table with just the things that I need to create, and love to run on downstairs and, well, who am I kidding? Maybe not run, maybe wobble, stagger, sleepy-eyed with creaky knees down the stairs and get into that stitching. It's a lovely way to start my day. And so making that time for myself and being in the routine of doing that means that I get in regular stitching time now. And I think because I'm stitching all the time, I feel less pressure for it to be perfect. And then that's the next thing, to not worry about the finished product or what it's going to look like, and not be upset by what I've created, but just to enjoy what I've created. For me, so much joy just comes from the actual doing, the making, and not what I have at the end. So having that growth mindset is really, really important, where you're just thinking about, bearing witness to your learning and seeing it grow, seeing yourself get better bit by bit. It's really important to make that time to create too. So I think sometimes when we're looking for inspiration, we can take in too much inspiration, too much input. You're watching too many videos on a topic, and then you're starting to get overwhelmed and confused about what you want to do. So I think then it's really important to sort of take a break and to just give your brain time to process all the ideas that are whirring around in it. At times like that, I like to step away from stitching altogether and go for a walk out in nature, or do something different, read a novel, or do that type of stitching that's not requiring so much thought. I really love sashiko for that reason, to pick up a sashiko kit where you've already got the lines drawn and it's just a running stitch and you're following the lines and creating pattern. That can help a lot to sort of slow the mind down and calm it down and give it some space to think about other things where you do have to make decisions. Other sorts of stitching that's really good for those times are anything running stitch, you know, if you're just running stitch scraps down, or seed stitch backgrounds. Doing a seed stitch background is just really, really effective and can be very calming indeed. And another idea, like, you know, there's times when you're sort of thinking, oh, will I or won't I? Set a timer and just do it. I went to a workshop once at Braemar Gallery. So 2 artists had an exhibition, and to go alongside the exhibition, they held a little workshop on the veranda of the gallery, and they gave us a timer and a time limit. And I received this mystery object of it was a vintage boot, an antique boot. It was incredibly tiny. How small did people's feet used to be? It was an amazing object. And I was really happy with that time limit. I couldn't believe what I managed to sort of do in 10 minutes or something. And then they gave us another random object to incorporate, and mine was chilies. So I have this little drawing and painting of a boot and chilies, and it was an eye-opening session to me to realise that, you know, you can do something in 10 minutes. Normally for me, if I'm creating something, a couple of lines would exist after 10 minutes, as you're witnessing and watching me take so long to stitch this. So, yeah, setting a timer, that can be another great way I've found to sort of get myself started. So speaking of that, do you need to pause me now? Do you need to pause this video and set yourself a timer and create something? Or maybe you're just going to let this video play in the background as you pick up a pencil and draw, or pick up a thread and stitch something, and the video can work on you as your timer. Now, Corinne has started up Botanical Beauties again, part 2, and so I am so in. She's starting with hydrangea, and my mind is whirring with so many ideas of how I can work with hydrangeas. And the thing I love about this project of Botanical Beauties is I'm obsessed with flowers, and so it gets to indulge my interest in that way. And I am coming up with this idea of what I want to create that will use a couple of different ways to create hydrangeas, and it'll be a really useful project as well. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, please come back again next week and check that out. I want to thank you so much for being here with me, because did you know that you're a huge part of helping me create? Having a positive, encouraging community around you is so encouraging. It's just really nice having other people cheer you on. So it's just a big confidence boost, and also the comments provided can sometimes provide really constructive insights as well. So I really appreciate your comments and your support. It does mean a lot to helping me create, and I hope that you hanging out with me and spending this time together helps you create as well. It is a little frightening to sort of open up your creative journey here on YouTube. We struggle with the same ideas that everyone experiences. We know that we're not perfect. We know that our work is not good enough. But you know what I really love about watching people create, especially when they create something the same or something, from the same prompt, is that no one's work is the same as one another, and you start to sort of see the differences and the variations in work, and it's what makes our work have character and look unique. So I think it's really important to limit how much you compare yourself to others, and just, there's that quote, isn't there, about the flowers and how the flowers just bloom regardless of how beautiful the bloom next to them is. And that's so true with creating and sewing and drawing and painting, creating anything. I like to keep track of what I'm doing, because I like to sort of see my progress and how things are sort of evolving and changing over time. I keep a portfolio, like a scrapbook, if you like, of my projects. There's gaps in the scrapbook, unfortunately, of years or times when I didn't document anything, but it's just really nice to flick back through it, and also to sort of, I think it helps me organise my thoughts as well when I'm starting a project. It helps sort of clarify what my focus is, and so that might be something you might like to do if you're not already, is to keep a little record of that. And as time's going on, I can see my improvement in this area, because I'm starting to feel less fear and just get it down. Before I would be carefully selecting what colour pen do I want to use for this, and all of that sort of nonsense. And now I'm just more, let's get this idea down. And in terms of, encouragement, are you being a good friend to yourself? Are you your own cheerleader? We all have that inner voice that's a bully, and it's important to turn that voice off. To say thank you. I acknowledge that you're here and you think you're acting in good interests, but I'm okay, I've got this. It's good to show yourself some compassion and treat yourself with the same kindness that you would another person. And I think the next thing is to really celebrate your success. Celebrate what you've done. Be happy with it. find the joy in it. And if it's not great yet, that's good, because that means that you've got the chance to go again and to make something again and to see it improve. I really have learnt so much along the way, and I'm really excited about the improvement I'm seeing in my own work, and I feel happy with those changes. I had this idea about creating this in my mind for so long, and I procrastinated a lot. Do you find yourself doing that? That you want to do something, but you just really procrastinated about it? Or find a bazillion other things that fill your days and make sure that you just don't have enough time. But the fact is, we all have limited time, and it really is our choice how we're going to spend that time. So next time you want to start something and you're not sure, try and identify what's holding you back. Is it fear that it's not going to be good enough? In that case, maybe doing a little warm-up could be a good activity. So this is where an art journal, a stitch journal, is a great idea, where you can just do something and it doesn't matter because it's not the finished thing that you want to make. And then once your hands and your arms and fingers have warmed up and you're in the flow of stitching, then you can move on to your bigger project that you're working on. It's really good to have small, low stakes projects to relax and to work on. Have you made a space for yourself that works for you and how you like to work? There are all different ways of being in this world, and there's all different things that drive us and make us tick. And for many creative types, it's to be in a space that's filled to the brim with inspiration and objects you find beautiful and tools and materials to create with. Or perhaps, like me, having that is too much stimulus and you need a calmer environment to settle into. So think about what uplifts you, what energizes you, what makes you feel ready to create, and try and create that space for yourself. I commandeered our dining room. We did not need a formal dining room. We don't have dinner parties. This dining room is my favourite space to sit in the home because it's the smallest room and I feel cosy. And it has windows looking out over the front and back garden where I can see delightful birds. And so I've always felt happy sitting in this space, even though it's the tiniest one in the house. And so I chatted to my family about it, and they were all okay with me changing it into my craft space. Before that, I just had a work box, and that was my space. So it doesn't matter how small or large your space is, but what matters is, does it work for you? Does it invite you to create? Do you feel good there? So I love beautiful flowers and wonderful scents as well. So I love to have a freshly picked flower in a vase on my table and to light a fragrant candle. And then I've really created a space that I feel wonderful in. Sometimes too I'll leave out, a book I'm reading or, some other quote or favourite image, and that can help me sort of feel inspired and uplifted. And do you know what? I think that the best way to overcome that block and not being able to start is to just start. There's that famous sports company that has that slogan that works pretty well, that just tells us to get on with it. So put aside all your worries. Tell that worryful brain, thank you very much. If you could just step aside now, please, because the creative artist is stepping forward. And then let your hands and your mind engage with your materials. The act of creating itself can often help you overcome that sort of barrier that you're feeling about starting to create. Sounds obvious, I know, but sometimes we need to remind ourselves. Let's just do it. Let's just do this. I think those things sort of really help me move past creative blocks and get over feeling like, oh, I can't do this because I'm not good enough. And the other thing that really helps me too is just to acknowledge, yes, I'm frightened of doing this. I think you've probably caught me saying that in my videos before, that, I was really frightened to start this, that as I'm stitching it, I actually am feeling this sort of low-level fear of it not being good enough, or I'm not good enough. But in the end, the joy of creating just wins out over it if you just, acknowledge, oh, hello, Fee, you've turned up again today, have you? Well, welcome. You can have a seat. I know that you're here, but I'm not going to let you stop me. I think it's sometimes that part of our brain that's trying to keep us safe, and it's important to sort of work out, well, hang on a minute, is there any actual danger here? Is it actually dangerous to be stitching with thread and fabric? straight away, my thoughts of Corinne's friend Reg, the beading needle. We've all got a Reg. So yes, sometimes stitching can be dangerous with those bitey needles. Anyway, I just think it's important to remind ourselves, yeah, it's okay if we're worried about what this is going to be like. Let's just try it anyway. And it's in that trying that we get better and better. I sort of wanted to be able to stitch a bird that looks quite realistic, and so I just keep looking. I just keep looking at artworks. Keep looking at how the strokes are rendered on the canvas. I look at photographs. I watch birds out in nature, and all of that observing, that really, really helps a lot. And then, of course, just to keep stitching, the more we stitch it, the better our hands get at it. I just wish there were more time in every day to stitch more and more and more. My family say I'm obsessed. I think they're right. How about you? What are your latest obsessions? What can't you get enough of in life? Now I could leave it there, but this little birdie was sitting on a fence post, so let's stitch that post in. What are you working on at the moment? Are you joining in other challenges with other YouTubers? Are you working along with Kate from Kate in the Nest and the projects that she's suggesting? Or have you joined Roxy's Journal of Stitchery? Roxy's Journal of Stitchery is always a fun time to go and check out what everyone else is doing. For me, Roxy's Journal of Stitchery this time, I'm interested. It's sitting in my mind. It's in the hatching stage, shall we say. So I don't feel any fear about starting, other than inspiration hasn't completely hit me yet. So far, for me, the prompts have been a shopping list. And yes, I have those items and they're sitting ready to go. I have actually gone as far as drawing up a whole quilt layout and a project idea in my scrapbook. But I think I'm waiting for the prompt that will really motivate me and excite the ideas to form about, what I want to create and why. I love watching what everyone else is doing and seeing their pieces in progress. It is so much fun. Did you know you can post on our community pages now? So you need the app on your phone for YouTube, and then when you're on a channel, you can go to the community page, and it's a wonderful way. It's something I kept asking YouTube for in feedback for ages. For you to post what you're creating. So, do you know, if anyone on YouTube has inspired you to create something, I'm sure they would love to hear from you in the community pages and for you to share a photo of your work. That would be really, really fun. It's great to have a spot now on YouTube where you can do that without having to go away and create a separate social media account on a different platform to be able to share in that way. So I do invite you to my community page, even if it's just to say, hi, how are you going? Happy Saturday. To the other people that are there. That would be really, really wonderful to get that conversation going. We can all have one big sewing room together. So let's take a look at all the threads I used to stitch Mr. Fairywren. So this first one is an anchor thread. If I put an A in front of the number, I know it was an anchor thread. This one I don't know, but I think, black tends to be black, doesn't it, in all the brands? So many of my threads are thrifted, so I don't know what the thrifted ones were, unless they came with their, like, still intact in the skein with their item number on them. So I like to use threads on the bobbin nowadays. They do get the kink in them, and I never used to put them on the bobbins for that reason. I used to hang them, so I would cut the end and hang them on a coat hanger. Let me show you, like this. Just get the number around, see. But as my collection grew, as I thrifted more cottons, I couldn't store them like that anymore. It just wasn't workable, and I really needed to sort of lay them out in a colour-coded fashion so I could see what I had and where my gaps were. The last time I went thrifting, actually, I bought more neutrals because we tend to be attracted to the colours that we like and end up with lots of those colours. Well, I just wanted to show you, so this was my first time I did a fairy wren, and he was a slow stitch bird, so he's meant to be full of character. So he was fabric pieced and then I stitched over, and I was using a couple of strands. This was in my spring piece. But I've just been so happy with my growth in my stitching and how my confidence has grown, my patience to now use single threads, and I much prefer the little birdie on the right, although the little birdie on the left, he does have some character happening. Well, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.